I remember the exact second it happened. It was a normal one-on-one. At least that's what it was supposed to be. I logged onto Zoom, expecting to talk about projects, timelines, the usual. I was in what I believed was the peak of my career. I was the primary individual contributor on multiple high-profile initiatives. I had poured years into building teams, launching products, shaping strategy. I felt essential. And then the screen populated. My manager and HR. That's when your body knows before your mind does. The second I saw HR, everything went into fight or flight. My stomach dropped. That nauseous, hollow feeling, it hit instantly. My heart rate shot up. I could feel it pounding in my chest so hard it was almost audible. My palms went sweaty. My hearing narrowed like, the moment before you faint, before giving blood. The room felt smaller. Thoughts started racing in every direction at once. This can't be happening. Not me? I thought I was safe. And then the embarrassment landed. My wife was in the house, and she could overhear the whole conversation. There was no privacy. There was no ability to control the narrative. I felt exposed, humiliated, and small. The corporate language started flowing, strategic shifts, organizational realignment, restructuring. None of it mattered. The meaning was simple. They were eliminating my role. I was angry. Not immediately in a loud way, but inside I was furious. I had poured my heart into those projects. Some of them were my ideas from the beginning. I had brought them to life. I'd fought for them. I had invested years building and launching them. And now? What were they going to do without me? And that question turned out to be the most painful one. Because the answer was, they were going to figure it out. Right after the meeting ended, I closed my company laptop for the last time. There's something symbolic about that moment. You don't realize how much of your identity sits inside this device until you shut it down and you won't open it up again. Well, my wife and I, we went for a long walk. I felt bewildered, shocked, angry, restless, helpless. There was even a strange thread of relief running underneath it all, though I couldn't admit that fully yet. But the strongest feeling was irrelevance. That word stuck with me. Irrelevant. For years, being needed had been synonymous with being valuable. My calendar was full because people relied on me. My input shaped decisions. My work moved projects forward. And now, in one short conversation, that thread was cut. It took several months before the deeper realization landed. The company was going to be fine. They were going to restructure, realign, move forward. The projects would either evolve or be handed to somebody else, or they'll get killed entirely because the engine just keeps running. And that part was sobering. Not just personally, but existentially. It revealed the temporary nature of contribution. You have a season, you have a mark, and then the season shifts. And one of the hardest pieces was watching what happened to some of the products I spent years building. Imagine devoting a full year of your life to launching something. Every day, designing, refining, fighting for excellence, and then only to leave and watch the product eventually get thrown away. it felt like they were throwing me away. And intellectually, I knew that wasn't true. Companies change direction, market shifts, strategies evolve. But emotionally, it stung. Well, that ego hit was far worse than the income loss. Income can be replaced. We had prepared financially. We had margin, but ego is different. Ego whispers, you mattered because you were indispensable. And then suddenly, you realize you weren't. Over time, something surprising happened, actually. Relief. Relief grew. At first, it was barely detectable. It was buried under anger and humiliation. But as the weeks passed, it expanded. I didn't have to prove anything anymore. I didn't have to stay hyper relevant. I didn't have to scan constantly for the next opportunity to demonstrate value. It reminded me of backpacking the Appalachian Trail when I was younger. Sometimes the terrain shifts without warning. Like a storm rolls in, the path changes. You don't get to argue with it. You just adapt. You just keep walking. Life did that to me. And once I stopped fighting the terrain, I started to feel lighter. Well, it took about a year before I fully stopped feeling needed in that professional sense. A year to untangle my worth from my role. A year to accept that irrelevance and one system doesn't equal irrelevance in life. That moment, seeing HR in the Zoom room, was the first crack in a belief I didn't know I was carrying. The belief that I had to be necessary to matter. The belief that the machine required me. Because the truth is, the machine doesn't require any of us. And that's not depressing. It's clarifying. It forces you to ask a deeper question. If I'm not needed by the system, what kind of life do I want to build anyway? And strangely, once I accepted that I was not indispensable, I also realized I wasn't trapped. If they could move on without me, I could move on without them. That realization hurt, and then it freed me. If you've ever walked into a room and realized your season was over, I'd love to hear how it shaped you. And if these conversations resonate, consider subscribing. I'm building this slowly and intentionally. Thanks for being here on John Dawson Retirement.